Modesty is gone. Somebody go sound the alarm. Like, it's gone in Christian circles, it's gone in the world, obviously. And the thing is, I've been contemplating about this and I've been thinking about this, and I'm like, why are Christians not modest anymore? Why are Christians not living or dressing modestly anymore? And honestly, like, it breaks my heart. Like, it really breaks my heart. You know, it's understandable when it's people in the world, but when it's Christians that are immodest, like, it really breaks my heart. And I'm like, what happened? What exactly happened? How did we end up here? How did we get here? How did we end up here where you have, for example, pastors up on the stage preaching and they're dressed in a very, very skinny, skinny pants, you know? Or for example, you go on Christian social media. Oh my goodness, the stuff people put on social media is crazy. You go on Christian social media and you'll find that they're posting stuff. I'm like, dude, that's for your spouse. If it's like a pastor, I'm like, dude, the world doesn't need to see that. That's for your wife to see. Or you go on, especially, and now this might get me in trouble, famous Christians' wives. Now, famous Christians' wives, when you go on their Instagram, a lot of times I have come out time after time disappointed. Because, you know, when I see someone that inspires me and whatnot, I usually go, I check out their Instagram profile and I follow, you know. I've done that time after time, especially for famous Christians' wives. I'm like, I come out disappointed and I'm like, nah, man. And I'm sure if you're a girl or if you're a woman, you've probably experienced the same regarding famous Christians that are males. And it's crazy the times that we're living in, and it's crazy that we're even here where we're having to say this, because modesty is gone in our culture. It makes sense, it's gone in our culture, but in Christianity, for Christians, it is abnormal and it is actually very saddening. I've been thinking about this and I've been thinking, like, is it just me? Am I just crazy? Like, what actually is going on? So what is modesty really? I'm gonna give it a very simple definition. Modesty is the way that we live that honors God. It's a way of living that represents God well. And today we're gonna focus on a certain part of modesty, which is the dressing part of modesty that is often talked about. Now, I've often heard the argument of modesty is all about the heart. And then you see these very people that say it's all about the heart, it's not represented outside. And I've talked about this in another video, but it's crazy that it's like a contradiction when you have people say it's all about the heart. Well, isn't the heart supposed to be represented on the outside? Now, let's be honest. While there are Christians that dressed immodestly and they're like, yeah, I'm pushing it, there are also Christians that do it not on purpose. Like, they don't know any better. I will leave that out there, so I'll let you have that. Okay, this other one is, I'm just wearing whatever I want to wear. Like, what's the big deal? And dare I say, that mindset is very, very destructive, because as followers of Christ, people are watching us. The world is watching us. You know, the people that surround us are watching us. Even other Christians are watching us. And we're meant to be an example to each other as Christians. We're meant to be an example to the people living in the world as Christians. So eyes are on us. So you can't just dress however you want to dress. You can't just talk however you want to talk. You can't just live however you want to live, because people are watching. And we have a responsibility to God, because we're not our own. Our body's not our own. Our mind is not our own. Our spirit's not our own. We're not our own. We belong to God. And so we have a responsibility to God to represent Him well to the people that are watching us. That's not all though, but we have also an obligation to people, because the people that are watching us, sometimes they end up going a certain way because of the way that we're going about. Like, it's a sad reality that happens. But what we do influences what others do. I've seen it happen time after time. If I live a certain way among, for example, unbelievers, they will also be called up to a certain standard. Like, you find that when they're around me, like, they're not like cussing as much or cussing at all, or for example, they're careful with their language, you know. And it happens because we affect the people that are around us. So we have an obligation to God to represent Him well. We also have an obligation to people, because the people around us are affected by the way that we live and the way that we do things. And they're affected by the way that we dress, because the way that we dress portrays something about us. And we have a responsibility to those people to not dress in a distracting way. And this especially applies to people of the opposite gender. And this is something that a lot of people tend to ignore. Like, there are some things you can wear around people of your gender. If you're a girl, there are some things you can wear around girls and it's okay. Like, it's normal, right? For example, I'm a guy. There are certain things I can wear or not wear around guys and it's okay. Like, they're not affected by it. But there are certain things I can't wear when I know that there's girls or women around, because I don't want to be distracting because of the way that we're made. If I dress or not dress a certain way, it's going to influence, and I know it's going to influence someone of the opposite gender where it's going to be distracting for them. And I've seen it happen time after time after time. And I personally, like, I've seen people dress immodestly, and I think my reaction to that is usually like, you could have picked better, but it's just a poor choice. But we need to fix that poor choice that a lot of us Christians seem to be trapped in. And so there's certain things you can wear in certain settings that you can't wear everywhere. For example, if you're married, there's things that are reserved for the person you're married to. There's things that are reserved for your wife. There's things that are reserved only for your husband, that the whole world doesn't need to see. Which is why I find it crazy, especially when I go on social media. And here's the thing about social media. We have a tendency as people to put things there about our lives that nobody needs on there. And it really is a reflection of our walk with Christ. And you go on these people's social media and I'm like, time after time I've gone like, dude, that kind of stuff that you're posting, like you in the gym all shirtless and whatnot, that's for your wife, dude. Or like a lady dressed in a certain way, I'm like, dude, that's for your husband. And I'm like, well, why are you posting it on social media? Whom is it benefiting? I've just been thinking, I'm like, am I crazy or something? I don't know. Maybe I'm renting, maybe whatever. Okay, it's okay. But I just want to encourage you guys to be mindful that, especially when you're in a setting where there's the opposite gender, and this applies to social media, especially when you're in a setting where there's a certain gender, you can't post certain things. You need to be careful because you affect people in a certain way. It just is biology. It's the way that our brains are, and you need to be mindful of that. And that is being a follower of Christ. A follower of Christ considers others, and puts others before him or her. And not only is it about posting, but the way you dress when you go to certain settings. When I pick my clothes in the morning, I have this thing where I have the Holy Spirit. Usually he will tell me that, okay, what's the setting you're going to? Okay, you're going to, and this applies to over 90% of the times. Is there going to be women or females there? Okay, you can't wear that or that or that or that. And so rather cover up. And so that's what I do. And the Holy Spirit leads you. I hope you're getting something out of this because I feel like I'm ranting, but the Holy Spirit will lead you in like, okay, don't wear that. Don't choose that. And if you choose to ignore him, his voice is going to get softer and softer, and you're going to go out dressed like whatever. And I've seen people, girls, and this applies to men as well, girls or women dress a certain way, and then like it's uncomfortable for them to move around, or they can't sit comfortably because of the way they chose to dress. And I'm like, you could have chosen better. And this applies to men as well. As Christians, we're meant to be different from the world, but it's crazy that we're living in a time where you can't tell a Christian apart from a non-Christian. Christian listens to the same music that a non-Christian listens to. They dress the same way that a non-Christian dresses. Like, are we even Christians? Like, we need to get back to the basics of Christianity. Here's something else I want to say is, we won't always get it right. Whether it pertains to the way we dress, the way we talk, the way we act, whatever, we won't always get it right. And that's okay, and that's human. But the Holy Spirit is there to help us, to lead us, to guide us. And if we're willing to listen to him and obey him, he will lead us to live in a way that honors him. Because modesty is ultimately, it's not about us, it's about honoring him. And also honoring the others that are around us and leading them to him. Sorry about that. My phone started overheating from all my talking. But seriously, come on, Christians, let's do better. So just to wrap up, who is modesty for? It's for God. It's for ourselves. It's for the people around us that are watching. And it's for our spouse, present, or future. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you enjoyed my little rant. But that will be all for now. And watch this other video, subscribe, and I will see you next time. Ciao.